And here we are with Mark Freeman. He hates Kid Rock. Let's talk about that.
Was my microphone on when I just was going, ah? Oh, wow. What a day. It's Monday on the Sports Blitz. You would have thought this was a show about anything else if you just joined us, but it's a sports show. The Sports Blitz. We're here on a Monday in the Cogswell Motors Studios. Appreciate you joining us. Give us a call at 968 News. Your thoughts on anything in the world of sports. We're going to talk about some heavy stuff. We're going to talk about some bad stuff. I want to show you something really funny first, though. One of the great things I've ever seen in sports, and that's not even an exaggeration. Like, a lot of times we go really hyperbolic, but one of the greatest things I've ever seen in the history of sports. Antonio Brown just absolutely levels this punter. He thinks, I'm going to hurdle. Punter says, I'm going to tackle. And no, it's kick to the face. Just straight to the face. And, yeah, just awesome.
I think we should not have a show. We'll just watch this on
everybody
repeat. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
If you haven't seen this, we're going to talk NFL today. That's going to be one of the big topics of conversation today. NFL-related news. We'll talk about the opening week. There are several upsets, several good games, and now the disturbing topic about Ray Rice that we were going to hit. I mentioned there's going to be some heavy, so that's going to be the heavy. We'll talk a little college football. How about them Hogs? Razorbacks got a 73-7 win on Saturday against Nicholls State Junior High, who, God, they were awful. That was one of the worst football teams I've ever seen in my life. They were terrible. Couldn't make it tackle. First two plays for the Hogs, touchdowns. I think the third play on the third series was a touchdown. Arkansas was just moving them off the ball, running for 15 yards a pop. It was awful. Nicholls State was awful. And I heard a bunch of folks, I read the tweets. I saw where people were saying, oh, they shouldn't be playing this team. This is a disgrace. I can't believe. I hope you're happy. Congratulations, rent a win. That's exactly what it was. They lost 10 games in a row. What do you expect? You think they're not going to be happy? They get a win against junior high? Who cares? I said I didn't care if they played the School for the Blind. They got a win. They go into Monday and they think happy thoughts on Sunday. They go into the next week preparing for Texas Tech, and they're off of a win for the first time in a year. I don't care who they played. 73-7. Sounds about right to me. I'm happy with the game. I'm happy with the win. I think I'm just going to go ahead now on a Monday, Prediction Monday, and I'm going to say Arkansas's beating Texas Tech because from what I've seen of Texas Tech, they're not going to be able to stop Arkansas at all.
Yeah, their weakness is our strength, is what I've seen.
Of course, the opposite's true also.
That is, but I think it's
but I don't think they're
worse
very good
for them than it is for us.
I just don't think they're any good. That's my problem. I don't think they're any good. Arkansas on the road, Arkansas who was 3-9 last year, got blown out in the first week of the year, goes on the road to Texas Tech and is favored. That tells you about all you need to know. I'll be taking Arkansas for the win on that one. So we'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. But let's start real quickly with local sports. This is a local sports show here in the River Valley, and we appreciate each one of you for sharing with us your scores from Friday night football games. I was at Clarksville for the battle on 64 that became more of another B word, a bludgeoning, rather than a battle, as Lamar just absolutely ran out and hid on Clarksville on Friday. It was a good start for Coach Eli Craner's squad. Got up 7-6 after Lamar scored and failed on their extra point. Clarksville scored and kicked their extra point, and it was all downhill from there. Lamar got up 42-7 before Clarksville scored again. It was 42-14. The Lamar Warriors, a big win. Big congratulations to Coach Josh Jones and his crew. We knew they were very good, and from talking to him on Friday, when he said out loud, people are expecting us to win, I thought, man, I thought it was going to be a close game. I did expect Lamar to win, but I thought it was going to be a closer game than that. And when he said that, I knew he had the ultimate confidence in his team. And it's not that it was a bad thing or an overconfident thing, but it's just something coaches don't normally do. Like, people expect us to win. In a game that's supposed to be, it's a 3A school against a 5A school. You wouldn't expect a 3A school's coach to say something like that. He wasn't disparaging in any way to Clarksville, but it was really cool the way that they came out and played. It was a huge crowd, 2,000, 3,000 people there at Matheny Field in Clarksville. It was cool to see both communities come out. The only sad thing was Saturday there was a lot of trash talk from parents and fans Maybe they played back in the 80s. Lamar had only won one time in history, and this was the second time Lamar had ever beaten Clarksville in football. So a lot of Lamar fans, man, they're getting their digs in where they can. The kids, I didn't see anything. Not from one player. They know each other. They grew up playing with and against each other, so it's not like it was a huge we beat you type thing. It was just fans and parents going back and forth and heard about some stuff. Didn't even see anything. And I posted about the positives of the game. And let's look at the positives. Lamar's really good. Clarksville's going to get things turned around. Got a new coach, new system, and game one's out of the way. And the fact that Lamar has some guys that can go play college ball. I don't know if it'll be at a big level, but it doesn't matter if you're getting your school paid for. And we'll talk about some other schools here in a minute, but that's just the thing that jumped out to me, that be bigger than arguing on social media about a football game. Like, it's just stupid. I saw it a lot yesterday from fantasy football, and I'm just as guilty when my fantasy team's not doing well. I'll gripe about it, but when it comes to real kids on a real field on a Friday night, come on, you got to be bigger than that, parents. Anyway, that was neither here nor there. Lamar 42-14 winners over the Clarksville Panthers. Russellville, very impressive win, 42-21 home opener at Cyclone Stadium over the Morrilton Devil Dogs. Morrilton, I heard, replaced like 16 or 17 starters from their 5A state championship team last year. But Russellville, wish we had the gif of Tony Jones returning a punt for a touchdown, because it was incredible. He'd stop, stutter step, and make three guys miss, and he went 80-some yards for a touchdown on one of them. It was a really, really nice play. Shout out there, Tony Jones on Twitter. I know he likes to watch and listen and comment on the show there. But Russellville got a 42-21 win. Dover, in the Rivals Cup, takes down Atkins 51-20. I made a passing mention on Friday about how I expected Atkins to play well and win this game at home, and Dover came out and made a statement. Congratulations, Coach Smith and his squad. I want to talk to Coach Smith on Wednesday if I can. Too busy a show today, too much stuff to talk about to get lined up for today, but I want to talk to him on Wednesday about that game and how things just sort of lined up for his squad to play really well and win this game, 51-20 against your rival in game one. Last year it was a high-scoring game. We expected this year to be another one, 71 points between the two. That's exactly what we got from Dover Atkins in the Rivals Cup. Congratulations to the Dover Pirates on their win. Pottsville, 36-0 winners over Gravitt. All they do at Pottsville is grind out wins. That Brian Rust dead T run to perfection on Friday night on the road at Gravitt. You go shut somebody out. That's a statement right there to start the season. Congratulations to the Duggar boys and Coach Rust and the Pottsville Apaches for that win. Hackett beat Two Rivers 21-18. Brinkley beat Western Yell County 22-7. And as we mentioned before, Dardanelle beat Danville Tuesday night 68-34. But our boys from Hector, 52-18 win over Marshall, scoring some points there for the Hector Wildcats. That team is going to be a team to watch out of the 2A. They're going to go deep in the playoffs this year. Last year they went really, really deep in the playoffs, and they got to a tough matchup there in, I think, the quarterfinals of the 2A. I think that they've got a chance to go even deeper than that this year. So watch the Hector Wildcats. We'll get Coach Mark Taylor in here in the next few weeks to talk with him about. Maybe we can talk to them on Friday, because they've got a good game coming up this week against Hackett. They'll be on the road. Atkins is going to host Bigelow this week. Clarksville is at Ozark. That's another rivalry game for the Panthers. They beat Ozark last year, and Ozark got beat down this last week by Boonville, I believe, in the opening game of the year. Danville's at Mount Ida. Dardanelle hosts Boonville. That's going to be a good game. That's going to be the game I'm at Friday night, Dardanelle, Boonville. Dover hosts Cedarville. Hector's at Hackett. Lamar's at Subiaco. Pottsville hosts Morrilton. That's going to be a very, very good game there in Pottsville. Russellville's at Rogers Heritage. Two Rivers is at Perryville, and Johnson County Westside and Western Yell County are going to hook up there in Havana. So big week in high school sports coming up this Friday night. We'll try to get coaches on throughout the week to talk a little bit about their games. But the NFL kicked off yesterday. My Dallas Cowboys, 28-17 losers. They were down 28-0 at the half, and it was ugly. It was ugly. Maybe it was 28-3 at the half. I went and took a nap because I was mad. Tony Romo threw 3 picks in the first half, and sometimes Tony Romo makes decisions like he'll throw it into a tight crowd. It'll get no. He was throwing it straight to the defensive backs all day. It was awful. A terrible, terrible performance from Dallas. And all that said, they're down 28-0. They come back and it's 28-17. Yeah, it was 21-3 at the half. So I guess they were down 21-3, and then they got down 28-3 and come back to make it a 28-17 game. If he doesn't throw 3 first-half interceptions, if DeMarco Murray doesn't fumble on the first play of the game to give up a score with 14 minutes and 6 seconds left, Dallas is in this game against San Francisco. Their defense, who is terrible, like historically bad, 32nd out of 32 teams last year. Heard somebody say the other day if there had been 33, 34, 35 teams, they'd have been 34, 35th in defense. They were awful last year. Lost their 4 best players, came back and didn't play all that bad in this game, really. They gave up 3 touchdowns, 2 in the first half, all 3 touchdowns in the first half. Second half, came back and played pretty well to give themselves a chance. I'm frustrated with the way Tony Romo looked yesterday. I know he had back surgery, and maybe he's just not all the way back yet, but I was really frustrated with the way he played yesterday. And Dallas goes down in its home opener 28-17 to the San Francisco 49ers. Perhaps the game of the day, the Atlanta Falcons beat the New Orleans Saints in overtime 37-34. Fumble there from Marcus Colston in overtime set up a Matt Bryant field goal to win the game, and Matt Ryan threw for 448 yards in this one. That was a huge, huge game. He played very, very well. He's got Roddy White and Julio Jones back, though, so he's got his healthy wide receivers. And Matt Ryan and the New Orleans Saints, and the Atlanta Falcons, are going to put up a huge fight this year in the NFC North. They're going to be right there with the Saints, obviously, for the win. The Carolina Panthers, they won, but they're going to fall down, and Tampa Bay's they're still another year away at least. So I'm expecting a 2-team race there in the NFC North. It was NFC South. I said NFC North. That's going to be a fun matchup there throughout the year. Somebody tweeted a minute or two after that game, look, the Saints and Falcons need to play about every week. Like they need to schedule this in once a month so that they can play, because that was a really, really good game. Drew Brees threw 333 yards, and he was still 115 yards behind Matt Ryan, who, Matty, didn't you say he has led more fourth quarter comeback drives
I'll
than
have
anybody?
to look up the stats, but he added another yesterday, either tying or winning drives, fourth quarter drives. I think he had 25 or something like that, and like the next closest was 18, and I can't remember who it was, but it's pretty stinking impressive because the guy hasn't been in the league 10 years yet, has he?
No.
Yeah, so I mean,
he's like 6 years maybe.
6 years. So I mean, that's pretty stinking impressive, and I like him because his name is Matty Ice.
And Matty likes Matty. Imagine that. Julio Jones, 7 catches for 116 yards. I've asked today a couple questions on our Facebook page. Our CrossFit Russellville poll question, sort of generic. It just asked, which is the most important story? What's the biggest story aside from Ray Rice? And we're purposely burying the lead on that because we're going to show the video. We're going to talk about that whole situation here in a little bit. But who is your fantasy studs and duds, and what were the biggest stories that you gleaned from this weekend in sports, whether it's college football, NFL, high school, whatever it may be? What did you want to talk about today? You can give us a call at 968-NEWS. That's 968-6397. Maddie, we need to take our first break because I don't want to get deep into talking NFL until we get back, and also college football. Maddie's Minnesota Vikings got a 34-6 win over the St. Louis Rams, who are going to be lucky to win a game this year. Their defense is really good, but their offense is going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible. And the Vikings finally well coached for the first time in 100 years, so they're going to be pretty good. I want to get to Steelers-Browns. Should Johnny Manziel end up on the field? They were down, I think, 20-something to 3. It was a rough first half for the Browns, but they came back to make a game of it, and Pittsburgh had to survive. It was 27-3 at the half, and that game was over. So people thought. We'll get to the rest of the NFL schedule, our surprises, our studs and duds in fantasy, college football, hogs, plenty of stuff left on the Sports Blitz. Stay with us.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the 4s.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KRK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
News 968-6397. That's how you get a hold of the show today here on a Monday. Appreciate you taking the time to visit with us. We're going to get to the Ray Rice situation here in a little bit. I've got some thoughts, and I was telling David, I wish that I had been able to come on the show like right at 8 o'clock when I got in the office and I was looking and watching and heard about the Ray Rice situation before anybody else, because now you've probably heard some things about it. You've heard some conversation, and you may have already heard what I want to say about the whole situation, what I think should happen, what I think the truth is, and it's sort of reading between the lines. Obviously, I'm not in New York with the NFL office, but there are some thoughts that I have. We'll get to that. We're going to purposely leave that to the very last thing we talk about, probably about 11:50. So if you want to hear that, it'll be coming up here in a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more about the other NFL topics. It's opening weekend. Don't want to let something stupid overshadow that, but it is a big deal, and we are going to get to it. So we'll save that for here in just a little bit. But I mentioned some of the NFL topics of the weekend. The Broncos last night on Sunday Night Football got up 24-0 on the Indianapolis Colts, and Andrew Luck leads his squad back. It's 31-24. Denver wins. Peyton Manning throws 3 touchdown passes in the first half, all to Julius Thomas, and Denver just got up big, and this is what happened. I mean, it pretty much goes without saying, but I did hear a lot of folks saying, oh, what's wrong with Denver? Did Indianapolis make all these great adjustments in the second half? Nah, they might have made some adjustments, but Denver took their foot off the gas. That's what happened. They got up 24-0, and they think, let's bleed the clock and let's get out of here with the win, and Indianapolis goes into hyperdrive, and those sort of things, sometimes they collide, and it helps the team who's trying to come from behind. It's how a guy ends up with 400 yards passing, and Andrew Luck ended up with 370 yards passing because they're throwing on every down and they're onside kicking and those types of things. So I don't see a huge deal. And this Indianapolis team is good. They got Reggie Wayne back. They've got a plethora now of offensive weapons. They're behind Andrew Luck, who I just offered a trade to somebody in fantasy football because I want the guy on my team. He's good. He's really, really good, and I want to see him do. I also offered a trade for Antonio Brown because if you're going to be kicking kickers in the face, you need to be on my team. Yeah, I want you on my team name. One team I've got Le'Veon Bell. And my team name is Le'Veon a Prayer.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. I've got Team Name of the Year award in my league. And then the other team, we'll just put it this way, it's a Varsity Blues quote, so it's not quite appropriate for the show. It's not a curse word, but I'll just say it. You remember in Varsity Blues when they run that fake play in practice, that trick play, and coach comes out and yells at them, and it's Coach Kilmer yelling at Mox, and Mox, he said, "What's that play?" in no uncertain language, and he said, "Oop-de-oop." Oop-de effing oop! He just starts yelling at him. I named my team Oop-de effing oop.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I guess.
I think it's pretty cool. That's part of the fun of fantasy football. The draft is the most fun. Winning games, losing games, okay, but naming your team is one of the fun things about. And it's creative. A lot of these people are going like Rice Baby or just random stuff that comes
was that
with
Breezy?
team players' names. Breezy like Sunday morning.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I had Red Hot Julius Peppers last year.
That's a good one.
That's part of the game, but. Yeah, my team's...
You should give out awards and money for best name.
People do.
Yeah.
Not me, but people do. All right, other games. Carolina beat Tampa Bay 20-14. No Cam Newton. He was inactivated a couple hours before that game. That's something to pay attention to. Minnesota 34-6 over St. Louis. I think that's partly to do with Minnesota finally has some coaching, and partly to do with St. Louis terrible.
Yeah. That's...
Adrian Peterson didn't do all that well.
Yeah, I didn't even see
though.
his stats. It was Cordero Patterson
Had a nice touchdown, touchdown run. Adrian had like 70 or 80 yards, but he didn't have a touchdown. And normally he's 150 yards and like 12 touchdowns. So that's why he didn't notice it. But 34-6 is 34-6. Pittsburgh 30-27 over Cleveland. It's the same situation as Denver. The team, Denver, Indianapolis, the team took their foot off the gas. Other team came back. And got to give credit to Cleveland for coming back, but Pittsburgh squeaked it out. That was a tie game, and Pittsburgh had to miracle into the game to kick a field goal there and win. The game that really scared me, Philadelphia-Jacksonville. That was the one that when I picked it, I said, no questions asked, Philadelphia's winning this game. 17-0 Jacksonville at half. And Jacksonville just looked really, really good. Chad Henne playing well. Philadelphia's offense looked terrible. Nick Foles, he was terrible in the first half. They had Mark Sanchez warming up. You got to be really desperate to have Mark Sanchez Dirty Sanchez warming up on the sideline. You got to be really, really desperate.
Question:
but
does he
Foles
still have a mustache?
I think so.
I hope so, because that really ties it all together
so.
for me with him.
Well, Philadelphia came back in the second half, 34 unanswered points, won the game 34-17. The Jets beat Oakland 19-14, but if a tree falls in the woods and there's no one there to hear it, did it make a sound? If the New York Jets beat the Oakland Raiders and nobody was there to see it or nobody cared, does it matter? That's kind of where I am with that. Cincinnati beat Baltimore 23-16. Baltimore led that whole game. Cincinnati came all the way back. A.J. Green with a juggling catch there to basically win that game. Buffalo beat Chicago 23-20 in overtime. I had Chicago winning that game, but I decided not to pick that at the last moment because I knew Buffalo at the beginning of the year always seems to give people trouble. So I luckily didn't pick that game. Houston beat Washington 17-6. I was surprised with how terribly Washington played. I do have Pierre Garçon, and he had a pretty decent game there. But RG3 is not looking all that good. J.J. Watt gets the big contract, comes out and plays his butt off. A big shout out to him. Jadeveon Clowney potentially tore his meniscus out 4 to 6 weeks with an injury in his first NFL game, but Houston gets the 17-6 win. Tennessee surprised Kansas City 26-10, just beat them down. Miami beat the New England Patriots 33-20.
You kind of called that.
I did.
You said they have problems with Miami.
They play them tough. And Buffalo is another one. New England at the beginning of the year, they've lost in recent years to Buffalo and Miami. It's just weird the way they play at the beginning of the year. New England, I didn't realize that they had Browner and Darrelle Revis as their corners. I knew they got Revis, but I forgot about Browner, who was at Seattle last year. So they've got some really good cornerback play there. And Tannehill threw for like 178 yards. He didn't throw for very many yards, but they still scored 33 points. And New England was just not very good on offense. So they'll get that corrected. I expect. Think about the 3 teams in the AFC: Indianapolis, New England, and Denver. Those 3 teams right there in the NFC or the AFC are very, very good. In the NFC, you've got Seattle, San Francisco. You've got some other teams, Green Bay, who I think are good. But that's a top-heavy portion of both sides of the conference there. Seattle, again, 36-16 on Thursday night. We've got a caller on the line. Who we got on the line here?
Old school baller.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Oh, hanging on. Just trying to stay on the radar. How about you?
Trying to stay out of trouble myself. What's on your mind?
Just going to aggravate Mark a little bit.
Go for it.
All right.
I'm sure you're excited that Dover got a 51-20 win over Atkins on Friday.
Absolutely. First football win over Atkins since I was a young man. I'm 68 years old.
Oh, Lordy. Well,
Dover ran the score up on them little boys pretty much.
Oh, yeah? Well, what else is on your mind today?
Trying to stay on the radar. How about you? Trying to stay out of trouble myself. What's on your mind?
I think we're having some phone issues here.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
I'm just going to aggravate Mark a little bit. I understand he's am I talking to Mark now?
Yeah, this is me.
Hey, I understand you're a Clarksville Panther fan.
I am a Clarksville Panther grad.
What happened to your boys?
I'll tell you what happened. Lamar happened. Lamar was very, very good. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it from about the second quarter on. Lamar, you thought Clarksville was going to try to wear him out with the depth and the fact that they've got more players as a 5A school, but Lamar's talent took over. Lamar has some big old boys, and Coach mentioned on Friday on the show that they've got several linemen who are really, really big and really talented and good. They've got an all-state quarterback. I knew that they were replacing 3 wide receivers that were very good, like Ryan Jones and Chenault, and a friend of mine, a kid from my youth group, Seth Campbell, who was a wide receiver and all-conference corner. So I thought those 3 guys and some of the guys they're replacing, it might be a closer game, but Lamar had no problem replacing those skill players. Braxton Sampley played his butt off. Lamar's defense played really well. It was just, Lamar was just that good.
Well, now, Lamar's probably going to finish about 3rd or 4th in their conference, aren't they?
They'll probably finish 3rd, but that's not saying anything because the 2 teams ranked above them are Charleston, the defending 3A champ, and Boonville, the defending 4A champ. So I think Lamar could be 3rd best in the conference and 3rd best in the state.
Does Boonville play Dardanelle this weekend?
Boonville is playing, Dardanelle, at Dardanelle.
That'd be a terrific game.
I'm going to be there. It's going to be a really good one.
Absolutely. Hey, how good is the Lamar, that linebacker for Lamar? Is he definitely maybe a D1 prospect?
I don't know about D1. He may be D2. He may be D1. I don't know. He may be D2. I'm trying to remember his name. I know Hunter Davenport plays both ways for them, and he's a sophomore, and that kid's going to be one to watch out for. If he stays as agile as he could get a lot bigger. His dad is a big old boy, and his brother played offensive line, so I could see him getting bigger and growing out of the linebacker / running back role. But if he stays there, he's one to watch out for. And I wish I had the name of that Lamar kid you're talking about, but Coach Jones mentioned him on Friday. They've got several guys, old school ball, I'm not going to joke with you, that could play college ball, whether it's at the Division II level or even better.
I hope Tech gives them a look, but you know how Tech is.
Yeah.
Somebody locally.
Yeah. What'd you think about the Hogs?
Not too optimistic. I mean, Nickel State didn't they just barely beat Tech last year?
Yeah, Nickel State did beat Tech by 10 points last year. I did look that up. They don't play very, very well. I looked at the last 10 years of their schedule. They've just not been very good for a long time.
I'm not optimistic. I mean, I'm glad the boys won. It was a fun game to watch. Put a little optimism in some people around here, but not me. They're tough. Their schedule's too tough. They may win maybe 1 or 2 more games, but I'm not a Bielema fan. I just don't think he can win consistently in our league with just line up smash mouth football that he's looking like that's the way he wants to play. I think we need a fast-paced offense and confuse a few people with some skilled people that we get, but we don't get the talent just to line up and run over Alabama or LSU, A&M. We're not going to get that kind of talent. It's just never going to be there. But I'm glad they won, and I'm a Razorback fan, but I'm just not too optimistic about the future.
Well, hey, you're like a lot of folks. I'm a little more optimistic this week than I have been, but I'll tell you why I agree and have some trepidation as well here in just a little bit. All right, old school baller, you got anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I got one more question. Did Honker get picked up by anybody?
Not that I've seen. He was released by the Redskins. They went with the veteran. It was kind of frustrating to me after he was released. The Denver suspension for Prater came out, and they went out and got another guy. He'll get a look. Eventually, I think Zach Hawker can be an NFL kicker.
Yeah, me too. Okay, Mark, thanks for taking my call. Always good listening to you.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. As old school baller, we like to hear from him every chance we get. We'll talk Hogs here in a little bit. I was a little bit more optimistic after this game. I think what he's saying about I don't think you're going to be able to line up against Alabama and LSU and beat them that way. I agree. I think Arkansas, and that's why I think he went with Jim Chaney as an offensive coordinator, because he knows he's a guy who's slung it all over the place before. And if you mix what Bielema likes to do, the smash mouth, and what Jim Chaney likes to do, the open, type offense, you can do some things. You can get some guys in who can run an offense that will fit what Arkansas can get player-wise. You can get guys, like Keon Hatcher ran a little reverse type thing to open the game. They're going to have to do some things. Bobby Petrino, the crossing routes and lots of passing and things like that. They're going to have to be balanced, and they're going to have to make the plays where they can. They're not going to be able to line up and run it down people's throats all day against the good teams, but I think they can do it against a lot of teams.
We don't need to be short-sighted. We don't need to be short-sighted and look at the past few years and say, well, we can never do this, we can't do that, we can't do that. Arkansas has done it. Yeah. I mean, we beat LSU 3 out of 4 years, I think, for that stretch. I mean, it's not like we can't just line up.
Well,
Arkansas can.
Arkansas didn't line up and run it down LSU's throat in that way.
And also, one point where old school baller was talking about we're not going to have that talent. I disagree that we're not going to have that talent on the offensive line. I think we will have that talent on the offensive line because you see what he's done with the guys he already has.
It remains to be seen from the second half if they can have enough talent to do that to LSU and to Alabama. They almost beat LSU last year. So
apart from the second half, we can set that aside with Auburn. Our line, second year under Brett Bielema, these are not all his guys, okay? Completely bullied Auburn in that first half, pushing them off the line, making holes that you could literally drive a car through. I could drive my truck through it, okay, on that field. So I don't agree that when he gets his players in and the way he's recruiting now, particularly for me on the offensive line, that he's not going to have that talent. The number one offensive lineman in the nation from Oklahoma has Oklahoma and Arkansas in his top two, and he's getting ready to announce soon. So it's like he's getting the attention of these guys who are very highly rated offensive linemen. He's going to get those guys because he's put those type of guys in the NFL at Wisconsin, and he's shown that he can do that. So I think particularly offensive line and running backs, Arkansas, who I'm not saying we're going to be able to do it consistently against the Alabamas and the LSUs, but it's not going to be like, oh, yeah, we can't do that. We got to do like a gimmicky thing, or we got to be able to throw the ball around the Petrino style. I think we can line up, not year after year, but,
I think Arkansas, there's two schools of thought. You can either do it one way or you can do it the complete opposite. You can either throw it all over the place or you can go Alabama, LSU, and Brett Bielema style and run it down people's throats. And to his point, Alabama's and LSU are gonna recruit better athletes. That's not a question. And Auburn, you're not gonna out recruit them. So if they do the same thing you do and they have better players, are they going to beat you?
It's not the same thing though.
Alabama does the same thing Arkansas wants to do. It's almost exactly the same, and they're not going to beat Alabama doing that consistently. But that's why I think Jim Chaney can be a difference maker if he can.
That's what I'm saying. It's not exactly
guys
the
in
same,
the right
though.
position. Well, I'm just saying Brett Bielema historically, what he wants to do, pound it. That's what Alabama wants to do. And Alabama's even probably more conservative. So I think Jim Chaney, he has a shot to do something. We'll get to the Hogs here in just a little bit. I wanted to finish up any thoughts that we had on the NFL. Well, let's just move on real quickly because we got to hit a break and we got to get some college football. There were a couple big games over the college football weekend. Oregon beat Michigan State. I predicted that Oregon would beat Michigan State. Didn't know it was going to be 46-27. Michigan State was ahead, and then Oregon just flipped a switch and ran off and hid. And Mariota, Oregon played very, very well. I thought Michigan State was going to be able to overcome a loss in this game a little bit better than Oregon would have. So I still predict that Michigan State is going to be able to overcome it. I predicted Michigan State to go to the college football playoff, and after watching the Big Ten this weekend, they looked awful, the Big Ten as a conference. So it's going to be hard for Michigan State to overcome the crappiness of their conference and the fact Nebraska almost lost to McNeese State. They took a miracle for them to beat McNeese State. Arkansas Tech plays McNeese State this year, by the way, so that's in a couple weeks. Sorry, guys, but Nebraska almost lost to McNeese State. Penn State, Iowa almost lost to Ball State. Penn State won, but it was close. Ohio State got beaten by Virginia Tech 35-21. Michigan got blanked by Notre Dame 31-0. The Big Ten was awful this weekend. So I'm expecting that Michigan State and the Big Ten kind of going to get a little bit of a bad rap going on the rest of this season. What do you have, Maddie?
I was just going to say, you need to watch your language. They got blanked? Whoa.
Yeah. They did. USC beat Stanford 13-10. Didn't get to watch that game, but I saw the live tweets about how conservative Stanford went when they got up, and USC came back and made them pay for it and beat them in that one. That was a big one in the Pac-12. Looks like the Pac-12 is probably going to be more likely to get 2 people in than the Big Ten to get any in to or the SEC may get 2 in to the college football playoff, because the Big Ten took a beating this weekend. And like I said, I had Michigan State in the playoff. Couldn't believe that Virginia Tech beat Ohio State the way they did, although couldn't have happened to a nicer coach. I hate Urban Meyer. I'm glad he lost. I wish he'd lose every game, but that's neither here nor there. We need to hit a break because we've got plenty of stuff left to get to. Looks like Northern Illinois, Arkansas in a couple weeks. It's going to be a 6 o'clock kickoff there. Going to be a night game.
Where's that game?
It's in Little Rock, I think.
Is it?
It's going. It's a home game. I know
going
that.
there. No, it's not Little Rock. Georgia is in Little Rock. Are we playing 2 again this year? That's not in Little Rock. Because Georgia, that would be too close together.
You know, if you hadn't asked me, I'd have told you. So
okay.
Let me
I hope it's in Fayetteville because I'm going to go to that game if it's 6 o'clock.
I might go to that game too.
Let's go together, Mark. We'll go to West Fork.
Go to West Fork. All right,
let's do some Creed on the way to West Fork.
Let's hit a break. Yeah, Arkansas is going to play Northern Illinois. Don't know where that game is.
We'll have the answer back from the break
kick.
for
Arkansas playing at Texas Tech at 2:30 on ABC this Saturday. So, and they're going to beat Texas Tech, by the way. I'll just go ahead and tell you that. The game's in Fayetteville. So, this Northern Illinois game. So, I'll be in attendance at that game.
Me too. We'll sit together. We'll have corn dogs.
I don't eat corn dogs. I'm not.
Yeah, we're not LSU fans. Yeah.
All right, college football is done. We'll get to Razorback talk. Not a whole lot to say about a 73-7 win, but we're going to make some stuff of it. And then we'll get to the Ray Rice fiasco right after the break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
It's the most wonderful
73-7. And this music is entirely appropriate. I appreciate that, Maddie. Great minds think alike. It is the most wonderful time of the year. Forget Christmas. And there is supposed to be over more than average snowfall this year.
Oh, man. September in the SEC country? Yeah.
This is the best. This is the best time of the year. 73-7 Arkansas over Nicholls State on Saturday. I don't care that they played a junior high talented team. I don't care that Nicholls State was perhaps the worst team I've ever seen in my. They got a win, and a W feels better than an L every day of the year, and I'm happy about it.
Oh yeah,
Jason, man, I'm looking to talk with you here in just a minute. Before I go, I want to go through some stats. First 2 plays, touchdowns. Brandon Allen, 4 touchdown passes on 4 completions. He had 5 attempts, 4 of them are touchdowns. Threw for 117 yards, 100% QBR. 100 QBR. Jonathan Williams had a 90-yard touchdown run, 143 yards on 4 carries with a touchdown. Alex Collins, 13 carries for 131 yards. That's a 10-yard average for those counting at home. 3 touchdowns. Keon Hatcher, first play of the game, an 82-yard touchdown run. You had 37 yards from Cody Walker, 36 from Dewalt Mitchell, 34 from Denzel Evans. And then on the receiving side, Jared Cornelius had himself a decent little game there. 2 catches for 51 yards, including a 38-yard play there, and had a touchdown. Keon Hatcher, a 50-yard touchdown reception on one of the most wide-open touchdown passes I've ever seen in my life. Drew Morgan, a 22-yard catch for a touchdown, and then Cody Hollister, 1 catch, 7 yards, and a touchdown. DJ Dean got an interception. DJ Dean had a couple decent punt returns. All in all, it was a win, and it feels great. It feels so great that this is what I'm doing. I'm saying it right now, right here on week 2 of the Sports Blitz after, or I guess it's week 3 of the Sports Blitz, week 2 after week 2 of the Razorback season. They're beating Texas Tech this weekend. They're beating Northern Illinois weekend after that. Things are going to turn up for the Razorbacks. They're going to be 3-1 going into Texas A&M. Jason, man, what's up?
Oh man, it feels great to have a win, even though, like you're saying, that team was absolutely horrible, but. For Arkansas, it's been almost 1 full calendar year since we've had a win. So, to break that 10-game losing streak, it feels great to get that W.
Yeah, oh, definitely. So, you were at the game, weren't you?
I was at the game, yeah. I left early, though. It was probably the earliest I've ever left. I left at halftime. I usually at least stay through the third quarter. But, man, it was a blowout, and I'd seen all I needed to see. So, I left at halftime of that game.
Well, I was happy to see Arkansas impose its will. It was hard to get a look. It really was, because it was a touchdown every other play, and then it was just guys out of position and guys just dominating other people. But what did you like from what you saw from the Hogs?
Man, I guess everything. I mean, you really can't say that there was anything bad that came out of the game. The one thing that I would have liked to see more, I would have liked to see. I know Brandon Allen was 5 of 5 with 4 touchdown passes, but I would have liked to see him run some more passing plays, because we were just able to line up and just run right down their throat, no matter who the running back was. I would have liked to see them, throw the ball a little bit more. Defense-wise, though, it looked like everybody was flying around, like they were saying, the swarm, that they kept talking about. Everybody seemed like they were, flying around to the ball. But I really can't judge too much of, coming from a team like that. They're in the same conference as UCA and are picked to finish 8th in that conference. So that kind of, tells you pretty much how bad they really are. But, nothing but positives coming out of that game.
So they've got Texas Tech on the road, 2:30 this week. Texas Tech hadn't looked all that good. They beat UCA 42-35. They beat UTEP 30-26. Just haven't been very. That is 72 points in 2 games, but Arkansas scored 73 points in 1 game, so not too much to take from how many points Texas Tech has scored. I know they like to throw it all over the place, and they're probably going to be able to do that against Arkansas. But do you think Arkansas is going to be able to run it like I do against Texas Tech to the point that they're going to win the game?
I think so. Arkansas should be able to be pretty successful all year long, no matter who they're playing up against. I know Alabama's probably going to slow us down, but I think Arkansas can run against any team. Like Maddie was saying earlier, the offensive line that Bielema has brought in and that Sam Pittman is coaching, it's just phenomenal what kind of talent we've got there. And I think we should be able to push Texas Tech around. They were a horrible run defense team last year, and I don't think much has changed. Like you're saying, though, they've got a good passing offense. The middle of the field was a big concern of mine because Auburn just wore it out, and against Nicholls State, the middle of the field was still open. So maybe Rob Smith can make some adjustments to slow down that offense. But, I know Arkansas is not favored in the game, but I expect Arkansas to go down there and beat Texas Tech.
Yeah, I think I would be more scared. Like Texas A&M, they worry me that they could put up 100 on this Arkansas defense. I don't know how many points Arkansas is going to score. I expect it to be a lot. But Texas Tech, just from looking at the numbers and watching a little bit that I've seen from them, they just don't look like they're very good, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think Arkansas is going to be able to do about whatever it wants to against Texas Tech, and I can see the Brett Bielema, okay, let's pound the rock and play action off of it and control the clock type thing working out on the road. If you're ever going to beat somebody on the road, you're going to have to control the clock. You're going to have to run the ball. And I think Arkansas's got everything it needs to go down there. And looking at the line, Arkansas favored to win the game. How long has it been since Arkansas's been favored to win the game against anybody that wasn't Nicholls State?
I don't think Arkansas is favored to win the game, are they?
I saw something where they were favored to win the game by 6 points. Yeah, they were 6 point favorite. Let me check my trusted site real quick.
Because I thought Texas Tech was favored by 3.5 is what I thought I'd seen.
If Texas Tech is favored by any points, I'm taking Arkansas, and I'm going to laugh my way to the bank. And I don't mean that literally, but I will be taking Arkansas to win that game, no questions asked. So Texas Tech, not a big fan. So I know their coach is really good at choreographing ALS Ice Bucket Challenge videos, and that was in game week.
He looks very much like
Ryan Gosling.
So he'll probably win because of that.
He's good at abandoning Alabama.
That happened.
No.
Cliff Kingsbury?
A&M. He left A&M.
I'm thinking of what
A&M, yeah. He was an assistant there at A&M. All right, Jason. So NFL, I know you probably want to talk a little NFL. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my Dallas Cowboys, not looking very good.
No, the Bucs offense is pathetic. I thought Josh McCown would be able to come in and be a halfway decent quarterback, but there was 2 plays yesterday in the game. I know it's only 2 plays, but they were absolutely bonehead plays, and that an NFL quarterback should not be doing. And we didn't score. We scored 14 points, but we didn't score that till we got down, 17-0, and it was late in the fourth quarter, and we scored, late. But our offense is absolutely pathetic. I thought, with Vincent Jackson, Mike Evans, Doug Martin's coming back, that would be halfway decent. But man, I'm just not a Josh McCown fan. I wish they would put Glennon in and just let Glennon go. And then on your Cowboys, man, I'm not a Romo fan, and I still cannot believe that Jerry Jones signed Tony Romo to that huge contract a couple years ago, because he just doesn't do it for me. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
No, the going rate for quarterbacks now is out of proportion. It really is. Like Joe Flacco making $100 million is laughable because he's not that good. Tony Romo is another one. He's like 34 years old and he just signed a $100 million deal recently. I don't mean this to be rude. I don't mean this to be as offensive as it may sound, but do you remember what happened to the Oakland Raiders? And they're still suffering from it right now. It took Al Davis going by the way of the grave. Dallas is in the same situation. Like, they're going to be terrible as long as Jerry Jones is alive. I'm just saying he's got his thumb on everything. He wanted to draft Johnny Manziel. I mean, why? If you're going to put money out there, you're going to go get a quarterback. trade for somebody. Do something. If you're ready made to win, you don't care about the draft picks because you'll trade draft picks any old time for Morris Claiborne or whatever else, Des Bryant, whoever it might be. Go trade draft picks, players, money, whatever you've got to do, and get you a quarterback. He just doesn't have a clue what he's doing. As a GM anymore, he has no clue what he's doing, and Dallas is going to be terrible for the rest of his life.
I'm probably agreeing with you there. I just don't understand why he doesn't just become the owner, instead of being the owner and GM. And like you're saying, he's got his hand in everything. He just needs to be the owner, and just sit back and relax and let somebody else take over the managerial part and, getting the players in there and stuff in the draft. But he's got to be too much in control.
Well, the sad part is that he might do that eventually, and it'll be his son. It won't be a professional, somebody who has got a clue. It's going to be a son that takes over, which they need to go after. Like Bill Polian, have you ever watched him on TV? Like, listen to what he says. He's a genius. He's smart. You can tell he knows what he's talking about. There's nobody in the Dallas organization that has a clue. They're going to have to go after somebody eventually. Maybe it's going to be taking years. I mean, I'm frustrated as a fan because there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to be Jerry Jones and or his kin for the rest of my natural-born freaking life. So they're going to have to go after a GM president that has a clue. And as Bill Parcells used to say, they're going to have to find somebody who can shop for the groceries, go after and get their own guys. And that's just not going to happen anytime soon unless the light just comes on for Jerry Jones. You're seeing fans start to take notice now. And yesterday, San Francisco had more fans in AT&T Stadium than Dallas did. It was more red than blue in Dallas. Unbelievable what San Francisco was able to do yesterday in Dallas's opener. It was just disgraceful. And now I'm in a bad mood, Jason. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Just trying to help you out.
Anything else you want to talk about? I know we talked to Old School Baller, and your Dover Pirates got a win.
Oh, big win. Dover's going to be really improved this year. I think they're still young, but they've got some senior leaders that is really going to be stepping up. And I think that Dover can, get to a 500 this year. And for them to get to 500 would be huge. Since the last 2 years, I think they've only had to combine like 2 or 3 wins. But they've got some seniors and stuff that are coming up, and Dover's going to be good here in a few years.
All right, Dardanelle Boonville on Friday night. You want to go?
I'm going.
Me too. We'll hook up and maybe have a corn dog, as Maddie would say. No, we ain't eating corn dogs. We're not from LSU.
That's going to be a big game, and I know it's not it's a non-conference game, but for Dover, for Dardanelle, and it's at Dardanelle. If they can compete with Boonville, I think that's really going to give them a lot of confidence for the rest of the year because, last year, Dardanelle was good last year and Boonville just put it on them. I think it was like 42-0 at halftime, and I'm not for sure what the score ended up being, but Boonville just destroyed them last year. And if Dardanelle can play with them, I think that's going to give them a lot of confidence for the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. That's going to be a really good game. Looking forward to it. We'll see it on Friday. Jason, you got anything else you want to add?
That's it, buddy.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, well, we've got to get to this last point. We're not going to hit our last break. I'm just going to get to my last point. Now that I'm in a bad mood, we're going to show you the video, very disturbing video for anybody that may want to turn away and or just listen to the audio. Ray Rice. We saw the aftermath of him hitting his fiancée, who is now his wife, and that's another discussion in and of itself. No, not going to talk about that. But we saw the aftermath, him pulling his fiancée out of the elevator after he knocked her out. Well, now TMZ has obtained the video of inside the elevator and what happened. Maddie is going to go ahead and play it. If you want to turn your head, whatever it might be, feel free, but it gets a little nasty. As you can see right there, she slaps him in the face, and they walk into the elevator, and the following stuff ensues. And we're not going to show the whole thing. We'll just show the part what actually happens when the elevator door closes here. They get to a little bit of an altercation there. He swings at her. She walks towards him, and there she goes. Couple of different things that jump out to me about this. Look at his face. Look at the way he's acting. He's not distraught in the least. He doesn't seem to care all that much. He just knocked her out. Like her face hit that bar, could have killed her Does he check on her once? No, he just stands there. Waits for the elevator to get to the next place, and then he just nonchalantly drags her. I watch him kick her leg. Like, scumbag. Suspended 2 games. You knew he knocked her out. Roger Goodell came out before, and he said, I messed up. We're going to make it 6 games from now on. He knew that he knocked her out. She got knocked out somehow in that elevator. It wasn't going to be pretty. You knew that, right? Yeah. So 2-game suspension is what Roger Goodell comes out with. The NFL says they didn't have access to this video. They said they asked for this video and they didn't get it. They couldn't get it. How did TMZ get it? It existed. Everybody knew it existed. If they've got cameras outside the elevator, they've got cameras inside the elevator. You saw the Jay-Z, Beyonce thing a while back.
Didn't we all see the video of the aftermath, like outside of the elevator?
That's
so
the
it's
thing.
like it stands to reason there's
NFL,
inside too.
Exactly. And the NFL says, we asked for it and we didn't receive this video. It's one of those things where, like, you might have asked for it and didn't receive it, but in my opinion, they either knew this video existed or they saw this video, and he still said 2 games. If Roger Goodell and the NFL did not see this video and they gave him a 2-game suspension, it's the only way that it makes, and it doesn't make sense, but it can even be fathomed that he only got 2 games if they didn't see this video. And now that they've seen this video, I don't care what was collectively bargained. I don't care what the Players Association would say. You got to get rid of Ray Rice forever. You've got to kick him out of the league forever. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's on. Too many victims get beat up, and you don't know about it because it's not on video. Dorial Green Beckham allegedly hits some woman, gets kicked off the Missouri football team. He's still eligible to play football. He'll be in the NFL next year. Joe Mixon from Oklahoma. Apparently, there's video now of him punching a girl in the face. He's suspended for the year, but he's going to be back next year. Ray Rice. There's video now of Ray Rice punching a woman in the face. He's a grown man who gets hit for a living. He gets pummeled over and over. He can take a punch, even if she came at him to punch him. He punches her in the face twice, knocks her smooth out. How is this man going to be in the league anymore? My beef is with the NFL in 2 ways. One, you only suspended him for 2 games in the first place. Everybody knows that was a giant screw-up. That's neither here nor there. The second thing, how do you not come up with that video? Yeah, I saw somebody tweet, Bomani Jones tweet about how they know the names of the women Johnny Manziel slept with since he's been on campus at Texas A&M, but they can't come up with a video that TMZ can get. I don't buy it. I don't buy that they can't. I don't buy that they didn't, that they've never seen it until this morning. That's, to me, is a crock of crap. And if Roger Goodell doesn't come back and do something more to Ray Rice, if I'm an NFL owner, he's not representing me anymore. I'm not saying just get rid of Ray Rice. I'm talking about get rid of Roger Goodell.
Here's a question. Now, we saw the video and it's rough, but what about watching the video would change your opinion on what the discipline should have been? It's like,
it's just seeing the video. It's just seeing the video. No, it wasn't like
they already knew it happened. Though, is the thing. So it's not like, oh wow. If you watch the video and you're like, oh, well, she was really fighting him and he just, hit her and it accidentally knocked her out type thing. Would you say, okay, well, it wasn't as bad, you don't get as many games? Sadly, I don't understand. We didn't see the video, so you only get 2 games. Well, I don't understand that.
Sadly, and Roger Goodell said,
he knocked her out. We all knew that.
I screwed up. But sadly, it does make a little bit of difference in my mind because, for one, I saw it. And for 2... There's
for the league and discipline-wise.
Oh, I wonder what happened. No mystery. This is what happened. There it is. It wasn't like he's got his. It's just a hypothetical situation where say he's got his back turned, she climbs up his back and he does something to try to get her off. She falls out. No. She walks toward him. He decks her in the face like a man, knocks her smooth out. It's neither here nor there now. It's you got to do something about it. So yeah, he's done. There are NFL players now who are coming out saying things like that man should not be in our league anymore, and
it's not good for the sport.
The thing is, though, the sad thing about this, the Ravens are not going to do anything about it. They're going to suspend him. What the NFL gave him, the Ravens are not going to do anything else. People are calling for them to cut him today. For one, he's under contract. That would be a mess. They'd have to pay him. For 2, as sad as it sounds, if they cut him, he'd be on a division rival tomorrow. Like when he cleared waivers, or he wouldn't clear waivers, somebody put in a waiver claim on him immediately. Ray Rice would be on a team before the end of the day. He would be on another team. So what's got to happen is the NFL's got to say you're done. Maybe for a year. That sounds more likely, like what they would do. But
do you think anything's going to happen with this video being released today? Any changes?
There's talk that they can't do anything because of the Players Association and collective bargaining, but when you've got players coming out and tweeting this, like he doesn't need to be in our league, the Players Association has they have to fight for him in a way, but that's why I think a year-long suspension, like if they came out and said a year-long suspension rather than ban him for life, the Players Association probably wouldn't have a whole lot to say about it, but he just can't play in the league anymore. That's just there's you can't have a video of you beating a woman, knocking a woman smooth out, and then continue to play in the National Football League. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is a business after all. And you cannot have that to be the face of your business. The NFL is in the business of making money on football games. And, beyond the morality of the issue, which, frankly, in my opinion, is quite clear, aside from that, what's going to happen to your sport? Is NFL just going to become an arena for thugs? It's already beginning to get that reputation. And frankly, I don't know if you recall, but when baseball had the strike and people began to see baseball players as a bunch of entitled millionaires instead of the good old boys of summer, that hurt baseball, and not for a minute, but for more like a decade.
Oh, yeah.
And NFL is staring down the barrel.
It took the home run race of 98 to get them back.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think the NFL would be wise to take a lesson from history and do the right thing, if for no other reason than just its own financial self-interest,
That's exactly the right thing to say and to think and for us to propose. But what we say, think, and propose and what the NFL will do, probably two different things. So.
We've seen that those have often been two very different things.
I don't know what they're going to do. Honestly, I don't know what they can do. Roger Goodell is an attorney. He knows he knows the law, and he knows the fight he would be in with the Players Association regardless. I think that's part of why he only suspended him 2 games in the first place, because he didn't want to deal with the Players Association.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, the politics enter in. And they wanted plausible deniability. Without the video, they would be able to say, well, there's some wiggle room, there's a gray area, and they were doing the least they could possibly get away with. But let me ask you this. What's different about this than the deal with basketball and the Clippers? I mean, one guy is just saying hateful things out of his mouth, and the other guy is doing hateful things that's causing bodily harm. I mean, to say
and they booted one from the league.
That's what I'm saying. If the NBA can get their poop in a group and decide to knock this guy out of their league, why can't the NFL do the same?
That's a very good point. Now, the NBA for years has wanted and needed to get rid of Donald Sterling because he was a racist idiot, and you heard about some of the stuff he was doing behind the scenes, and the NBA just didn't do anything for a long time. So this one little thing was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back.
They were waiting for this.
Adam Silver was saying,
man.
thank you for saying that, you big idiot. I'm going to get you out of this league immediately. So, and Ray Rice, this may or may not have been his first sort of offense, but it doesn't matter. Like, that video or that audio of Donald Sterling was the smoking gun. Right. You got the smoking gun for Ray Rice. And who can defend him? Who could defend him? Like, if they kicked him out of the league forever, who can defend him? Oh, it's not fair. You should suspend him for how long? How long is it okay?
Tyson would be up in arms about
it. How long is it okay?
Let's just think about that for a second.
To hit a woman and you get to come back after this long. Oh, you've served your time. No. Right. You're playing a professional sport.
We just saw the video just a few minutes ago. Let's step back and think about that. 2 games. 2 games.
Right.
That just seems so absurd to me.
It's not even a slap on the wrist.
I just can't get past the fact that the NFL says they didn't have the video, didn't have access to it. But TMZ can get it.
Right.
The deep pockets of the NFL, all the lawyers, all the attorneys, all the investigators, all the scumbags that they know, and they still can't get a hold, but TMZ can. Yeah. Don't buy it. Don't buy it for a second, folks.
We got a couple of comments on our on the video we put up on the Sports Blitz Facebook. Here's Wes Maurice said, minimum year-long suspension, mandatory counseling, and whatever his pay was going to be for that year. That much and a fine to be donated to the battered women's shelter in their area. That's ridiculous. And then we have Sean, who says, sounds like it's a personal issue between him and his wife. Not sure why it's any of our business or the NFL's. Just for the record, this should apply across the board.
They have a personal conduct policy.
Athletes, politicians, celebrities, or your average Joe.
They have a personal. Well, for one, he's an employee of the NFL, and they have a personal conduct policy. Right. If you got a video of you beating your wife, and there's a personal conduct policy and you're a direct violation, then you pay the piper. So
well, it's not really his business anymore when he knocks his fiance out.
Yeah, so that's where that comes in. It's not necessarily none of our business. It's public knowledge of a public figure beating his wife in public. Like, there's no question about it.
Sean is wrong. Let's all agree.
I'm sorry, Sean, but I disagree on that one. I appreciate the comment. Appreciate all the comments we got from folks. I did see that there were some folks who commented about our fantasy studs and duds. Our boy Corey Williams, man, I feel bad for him. Not really, because we're in a keeper league, fantasy football league together, and he kept 4 good players, and I kept my sucky team, the 4 players I had left that were any good at all, and he got Doug Martin. I keep calling him Russell Martin, the baseball player. Doug Martin in the first round left me Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell went nuts. Doug Martin had 9 carries for 9 yards yesterday. So
ouch.
He's a little mad at the muscle hamster. So he said he was his dud. So all right, we got to get out of here. We've went overboard. Went a little long. You can send us your thoughts on Ray Rice. Email me, mark@rivervalleyleader.com, if you want to put something together. You can give us a call on Wednesday between 11 and noon. We'll see what happens with the NFL in this Ray Rice situation. We'll talk a little more NFL as far as the games on the field. Didn't want to take away from that. That's why we saved this for last. And then the games in college football. We'll preview Arkansas, Texas Tech on Wednesday. Looking forward to that. It's finally a game where you think Arkansas has a chance to win, if not win outright. Auburn was not such the case, and Nicholls State knew Arkansas was going to beat the brakes off them. So I'm looking forward to Wednesday. We'll try to get a coach on, whether it be Coach Smith from Dover or Coach Taylor from Hector, talk a little bit about their games, and looking forward to Friday. Dardanelle Boonville and Dardanelle, that's going to be a big, big game there. Former 4A 4 foes facing off there at Keenan Field. But for Maddie and David, that was David, by the way, that disembodied voice you heard a little while ago that wasn't Maddie. That was David making a comment there about the NBA and about Ray Rice there. But for Maddie and David, I'm Mark, saying so long. We'll be back at 11 o'clock on Wednesday at rivervalleyleader.com.